Okay, so today I want to talk about how I'm planning on becoming a mid-level engineer and what am I trying to do to be able to reach that goal. So, all right, great. I have a goal. I know what I want to become, this mid-level engineer. Awesome. Now, what I need to do is reverse engineer this and say, if this is what I want to become, what actually is this? What are the qualities of a mid-level engineer? And then how can I embody these qualities such that I actually become what I'm desiring? So I was thinking about this. What is a mid-level engineer? And what differentiates a mid-level engineer from an entry-level engineer or a junior engineer? I was thinking about that a lot, and what I've come up with as the differentiating factor between these two levels is that a mid-level engineer is going to have a much better understanding of the conceptual ideas of what they are working with, whereas a junior engineer is just going to be obsessed with getting the project done. Now, when I first started at my company, for the first year, I was just hanging on to dear life. I was trying my absolute best to become as useful as quickly as possible. I was trying to just get the project done. I didn't care if I understood it. I didn't care if it was the s- I didn't care about anything except for, is the project done? Did I get it over the finish line? Is the project accomplished? Which I believe to be the correct mindset and level for a junior engineer. But now that I am trying to become a mid-level engineer, I need to change my own thinking, change my own ideas to say, hey, if I want to become a mid-level engineer, I need to match what I view that position as a mid-level engineer. And so let me describe some of the differences. Now, instead of just saying, I want to get the project to work, I need to say, I'm dealing with these conceptual ideas to accomplish some goal. I need to go and get a much deeper understanding of each of these concepts such that I am able to solve the project in a much better and optimal way. I am able to troubleshoot and solve the problem quicker and at a higher quality. An exact example would be in the video that I made a few days ago, my engineering investigation videos. So I was trying to figure out, well, sometimes I do pip install, then the Python library. Sometimes I do sudo apt install. Sometimes I get this error that says externally managed packages. But if I do dash dash break system packages, then it works. Well, as a junior engineer, what I would normally have done is I would have tried different things. And then once I got something that my system accepted, once it worked, I would say, oh, thank goodness, it worked. Okay, great. And then move on to continue doing the project and try to tackle the next problem that sprung up. Well, now what I'm trying to do is say, hold on a second. This indicates that there is a lack of understanding on my part. I don't understand something here. So what I'm now doing is I take a little note and I just say the high level concept that I have identified as a lapse in my knowledge. Say like, okay, well, uh, pip install versus sudo apt install. What is the difference? And where are these packages? What is the library? Like, how does the library actually get called? Uh, and then maybe on the next line, I run into like Linux daemons, and I don't really know what those are. Why is it not starting up? And okay, well, I write that concept down. Then what I do is, even if I get it working, when I come home, okay, great. Now it is time to actually do the investigations of the concept so that I can understand why it is working, how it is working. And what I've noticed is when I do this, Oh my goodness. My competency increases more than I can describe with words. So, as I just mentioned in what my last maybe 3 videos ago was one of those engineering investigation videos. I do a lot of those videos, and yeah, the videos is essentially just me on my computer. I film my experience, and I'm going through the investigation of these high level concepts that I don't understand. And I did that video and I went through my kind of checklist of all of those concepts that I don't quite understand. Then the next day, all of a sudden, not only was I able to move so much quicker, but I knew why I was doing what I was doing. It was no longer, oh, I just take this line of code, or I look at Google and it tells me to put that line, this line in the command line, and well, I guess it worked. Not at all. The next day I went in and I said, okay, I need this package. I want it to be system level. Therefore, I am going to do sudo apt install. I'm not going to do pip install because that's not the system level. Then what I can do is now, because I understand how the packages actually work, I can go into the file or the folder because now I know pip install puts it at one folder, apt install puts it in a different folder. Well, I just did apt install. Therefore, the library should be at this location. So I can go in there, verify, yes, it is where I think it should be. Yes, it's the correct version. Yes, all of this thing. Now all of a sudden, something that I kept fumbling around with yesterday, today, it's like a obvious thing because I understand the higher level concepts behind what I'm doing, not just how to make it work. And as I just said, if I understand the concepts, I'm able to verify that what I did is correct and I know that I am doing it in the proper way. This is what I think is one of the differentiating factors between the mid-level and the junior. The junior is just trying to make it work. The mid-level is saying, why is it working? How is it working? How do I verify that it's working? And to do this, they have that higher level understanding of what's actually going on, not just the specific task which they are trying to accomplish. So now, what I'm trying to do is every time I come into a concept which I don't quite understand, even if I solve the problem, the task, the specific task, I didn't understand that concept. I need to take a note, write down what I didn't understand. Then that's where I get home from work. Now it's time for me to fire up YouTube and we get on to an engineering investigation video. And I just try to go and understand what's actually happening. The other good thing about those engineering videos, I get a lot of comments where people are actually like they're confused about the videos. And the reason that I make those engineering investigation videos is because I feel that number one, I want on my YouTube channel to give an accurate and honest representation of what being a real engineer is like. When you go online, you see a ton of people just either they know everything and already and they just tell you how to do it, or there's no accurate representation of what being a real engineer is like. And from what I've seen, what being an engineer is you are constantly confused about how is this working? How is that working? Why is this working? There are so many concepts that I don't understand. And trying to do your best to navigate this very confusing landscape which you find yourself in. And I want my videos to be able to capture that and to give that accurate representation to other people so that they can also understand, like, yeah, this is what engineering is. So, from one perspective, yeah, my videos are kind of just me, talking to either ChatGPT, trying to unravel all of these concepts which are interwoven with each other. You don't understand one problem or the other problem, but then they compound on each other and make it even more confusing. So how do you actually unravel all of those concepts such that you're able to get an understanding of kind of a system? Now, something with my job is I'll say problem right now, but actually I'm going to flip it and say it is a huge blessing. So, one of the problems with my job is I am the, and I use the word the because I'm the only one at the company. I am the embedded systems engineer. I am the firmware engineer, and I am the software engineer. So, anytime there is any task or project that falls into any of those three categories, I'm the sole owner of that process. So I'll need to figure it out, I'll need to do it, I'll need to get it done. So this is actually quite difficult if I'm trying to move into that mid-level position. It's quite difficult to be able to become competent and understand all of this vast array of different fields. One day I might be working on like networking through Ethernet, and I'm trying to understand, well, what is an IP? What is a static IP versus a dynamic IP address? What is subnet masking? What is the default gateway? How do these two things, the IP address, interact with the uh, default gateway? How do I connect my computer to something else? And that might be day one. Then the next day, all of a sudden, I am doing embedded C code and trying to talk to a electrical component. And so I have to go and be looking at data sheets. And so then the next day, maybe I'm doing something completely different. I'm dealing with databases, right? Like whatever it is, my job is so wide that to be able to get to that level that I just described as a mid level, where I understand the conceptual ideas behind each of these, is actually very difficult because there's so many different fields. But now let's flip it. I'm taking it as an immense blessing. It is an amazing opportunity for me to be able to learn such different topics. And the way I think about it is kind of like a treasure hunt. Each time I run into something that I don't quite understand, oh, it's going right in my notebook, and I'm gonna write down that concept. And then when I get home, even if I'm tired, right? It's late at night right now. I just got home from work. I'm tired. I don't want to go and do investigations, but I know if I do the investigation, oh, I'm gonna feel so great about my understanding improving. So, oh, awesome. Here, I found a new topic for me to understand, and it really is like a treasure hunt. I want to be greedy for knowledge. And thankfully at my company that because I'm in this position, I'm able to take knowledge from so many different areas. And I think that this is going to be extremely valuable to me because now if I come into a problem later on in when I'm developing a project, I'm going to say, oh, well, yeah, I already, maybe I'm not a master at networking, but at least I kind of understand the general idea of it. And I have a little bit of a roadmap and understanding of, yeah, I see how these things fit together. And at that point, it's a lot easier to make progress. So, on one hand, yeah, it might be a little bit more difficult for me to reach that mid level uh, idea or that mid level because I need to understand so many different concepts that don't really connect to each other. But it also allows me to be very, very, very useful and have a wide array of uh, concepts. Electrical engineering, embedded systems, low level programming, Linux development, software engineering, right? All of these things such a wider array. All right, so that's one thing. The other thing that I'm trying to do for promotion is just resume experience. Now, the reason that I differentiate resume experience from actual experience is because I talk a lot with my friends who are also engineers, and we talk about our experiences as engineers. I am very surprised at a lot of stories that I hear from them because my experience as an engineer, as I mentioned in this video, I am just holding on for dear life. I'm learning so much every single day. I'm running into so many different concepts that I've never heard of before. And I'm just like trying to keep up and keep my head above water. But then I talk to some of my friends and they will tell me things like, yeah, I'm essentially just a data entry person. I just put numbers in an Excel spreadsheet. What? They have the same, we all have the same title as engineer. We all have our engineering degree. Other friend will say like, I don't really learn much. I just do whatever, right? Like very much saying that he doesn't learn a whole bunch at his job. He just kind of coasts through things. Another one of my friends says that he does just purchasing and doesn't really do a lot of that uh, technical engineering. And so I talk to a large amount of different people who are in the engineering field. And even though our resume says the exact same thing, our experience is so much different. So that's why I separate these two. But that is not to say that resume time doesn't matter. Quite the opposite. It very much does matter because a company is not really, they're not going to be very willing to give you a promotion if you don't have that just time in rank. So the time for me right now is about the correct timing for a promotion into the mid-level uh, position. So I can't, if I'm talking strictly resume time, I can't say that I have 2 years of experience. What I actually have is, what would that be? 1 year and 8 months as a full time engineer. Then I have 4 months as an intern. Now, the internship, I was doing the exact same thing that I am as a engineer, but it was essentially just a extended interview. Essentially, is what happened. I got hired on as a intern and then transferred over as a full-time engineer. So I have 1 year and 8 months as a full-time engineer, and this is generally around the time frame which you can get promoted, or you're at least eligible to get promoted to be a mid-level engineer. So the timing is also a little bit right on that. Thirdly, what I'm planning on doing with this goal is I need to be more proactive in making sure that I advocate for myself and my projects. And so in the past, what I would do is kind of just be in a dark corner, just develop, 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 and try to stay under the radar, just like get my work done, make sure that I'm producing as I am going through all of my different projects. But what I need to do is kind of advocate for the projects which I'm working on, make sure that management knows what I'm accomplishing. So I need to be more change the way that I approach more of the social aspect as well. And hopefully these things will be able to help me move into that more mid-level position. So yeah, I am going to continue doing those engineering investigation videos. I have found them immensely helpful for at least me. I am every single time, it really is like a treasure hunt. Every single time I find a concept that I don't understand, I just jot that concept down. Then I come home and try to do those investigations. And it really is helpful to be able to say, oh, now I understand why things are working. I understand why my daemon might not be running. I understand what a daemon actually is. I understand how system D works. I understand all of these different concepts that previously I was just focused on getting it to work. Now it's, well, I want to understand how it's working and why it's working. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of those engineering investigation videos. And hopefully it's also helpful to you guys, if you're watching it, to be able to kind of collaborate with different concepts. Some of those concepts, like, oh yeah, I hadn't ever even heard of this concept. What is a Linux system D? Like what is that in Linux? So it's an opportunity for us to be able to find ideas that I had never heard about before, but obviously they have some importance. And so it's a good opportunity to learn like what's actually out there and how it's working. So yeah, anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. If you are interested in following along in this journey, you can subscribe. If not, that's fine too. No worries at all. Um, yeah, I will be making those engineering investigation videos. I will also be continuing to do my leak coding videos. What else? Recently I've been getting into kind of exploring uh, AI and trying to see how I can use AI as a tool. The other thing is trying to get more familiar with back end software engineering. So I'm doing a lot with the channel. But yeah, if that's interesting, subscribe. If not, that's okay. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. My name is Timothy Lee Grant, and I will see you guys in the next video. All right.